Welcome to this free Super Tips FA Cup special. Now for this, I wanted to get the two greatest football tipsters around on the show. Unfortunately, they were busy. So we're left with Mark Langdon and Dan the Man Childs. How you doing?
Hi, D, you alright?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks, Dean. Yeah.
So what we're going to do, we're going to go through the 8 FA Cup matches. Yeah, we'll each give a tip. I'll obviously be representing free Super Tips. See how we get on. We'll start with some QPR v Watford. And I think we should let Dan kick us off because you're a season ticket holder at Watford, obviously.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of Watford this season. In the FA Cup, Javi Gracia does make lots of changes, made 11 for the game at Newcastle. They still won up at Newcastle 2-0. I think they'll make a lot of changes here as well at QPR, but that strength in depth will come through. QPR have had a busy week, lost at Bristol City 2-1, playing as well next week against Millwall in the league, so it's a busy time for them. I think Watford will just win this. I'll go for Watford to win, and a correct score would say QPR 1, Watford 2.
I agree. I think Watford will win. I think it might even be a little bit more comfortable. Right. I'll go for 2-0, but I think Watford to win is the main bet. 4 clean sheets in 5. The one where they conceded was late on at Tottenham, conceded 2 goals there. I don't think there's a huge difference between a lot of those Watford players, actually. You know, if Andre Gray plays or Isaac Success, you know, there isn't, like I say, it's not like you going Harry Kane to Fernando Llorente or whatever. Yeah. So I don't think that's a problem. QPR have conceded a lot of goals recently, 4 against Birmingham, 4 against Bristol City. They've lost 5 of their last 7. I think Watford are a decent bet.
Yeah, well, we're with you as well. Watford, for us, QPR lost their last 5, haven't they? They were in Bristol on Tuesday night, tough game there. Obviously lost right in the last minute or two. So they've got a quick turnaround, only a few days gap between them. Watford, not bad away from home, but they have had a couple of good results in London, we noticed. They went to West Ham and won, they went to Palace and won. So we're siding with Watford. It's all 3 of us. We're 2-1 Watford, and our main selection would be Watford at around about a shade of odds on. So I think that's 3 of us on Watford's side there. Saturday, 12:30. We'll start with you this time, Mark. We've got some Brighton versus Derby.
Yeah, I think the draw. Obviously, at this round now, there's no replay, so it goes draw, extra time, and then penalty. So I don't think it's a problem for these teams. Oh no, we don't want a replay. You know, like it's one of them where I think we've got a good form line. You know, Brighton and Southampton, pretty similar-ish level in terms of the Premier League. Derby went to St Mary's and got the draw. Brighton really struggling at the moment. 3 clean sheets in their last 19 matches. But Derby are not great at keeping clean sheets either. So I wouldn't be surprised if both teams score. Draw my best bet, 1-1 for the correct score.
Dan?
Yeah, I'm going to go for a draw as well here. I agree about the Southampton form lines, you know, a good indicator. Oh, I mean, the downside for Derby, again, with the Championship sides, the scheduling is a little bit against them. You know, they had to play midweek and they've also got to play against in the week as well after, whereas Brighton haven't. But Brighton lacking confidence at the moment, no winning 6 Premier League games. They won't want to get injuries to the key men as well, so there might be a few changes for Brighton. I think a draw, and I'll go 1-1 as well.
Yeah, well, we're on similar lines. I mean, Brighton, as we've said on here many times, they are good at the Amex, in fairness. They've only lost 4 times at home in the league, and 3 of those were to big sides, Liverpool, Spurs, Chelsea, all by the odd goal, so they're not going to be easy to beat. Derby, though, they do seem to play better against the better sides, don't they? I mean, they say we've knocked Southampton out of the FA Cup, knock United out of the Carabao, give Chelsea a real fright in that as well. We're along similar lines as you. We're going to go for 1-1 as a correct score. But what we do like is Derby in the double chance. I think that's around even money and not a bad bet.
Yeah, I can definitely. I wouldn't be backing Brighton, let's put it that way.
So 2 matches so far. We're in total agreement by the looks of it. Will this carry on? Saturday, 3 o'clock. Wimbledon, Millwall, Dan, what do you think?
I'm going to go for a shock here. I'm going to go for Wimbledon. I think are a little bit of value to win the game, and I'll go Wimbledon to win 2-1. My reasoning, I think this is going to be a physical battle. Millwall were known in the Championship as a physical side. I don't think Wimbledon will mind that. They've also been raising their game in the Cups. Great 3-2 win at Fleetwood, as well as the game everyone will remember, the 4-2 against West Ham. Also the boost of a 1-0 win at Walsall in the league, which has just given them a glimmer of hope in the survival battle. And Millwall's away form is dreadful. 1 win in 15 away games this season. So Wimbledon to shock Millwall.
Mark?
Well, we'll have a difference this time. I think that I'm not going to go for the match result market. I'm going to go for take a bit of a chance on Jake Cooper to score first or any time. He's big price, centre half. He's got 4 goals in the Championship. Also scored against Everton in the FA Cup. Millwall are a set pieces team. We saw that against Everton, and just about every other game they've played this season. He's an absolute giant. Attacks the ball really well. I think it'll be low scoring. So if you want a correct score, Wimbledon 0, Millwall 1.
All right, so it could be left to us at Free Super Tips to come up with a final decision. Well, we're on Mark's side here. We're going for a 1-0 win to Millwall. Just looking at some of the stats, Millwall seem in better form recently than obviously Wimbledon. Their last 10, they've won 5, drew 3, lost 2 in all competitions. Our main selection here, though, is going to be for no in the both teams to score market, which is obviously why we've gone for the 1-0. Just listen to this. Wimbledon, they've only scored 14 in 16 at home in the league. And Millwall away from home have only scored 14 in 15. So hence our prediction, 1-0 to Millwall and no for both teams to score.
How on earth did West Ham lose to Wimbledon? That's one of the biggest shocks. I mean, it just doesn't make sense.
That's the cup, isn't it?
Yeah,
the cup for you. Saturday, 5:30. Not sure we're going to get a shock here. Newport versus Manchester City. Mark, what do you think?
A tough one. In terms of the correct score, 3-0. My best bet is Leroy Sané, first goal. He's not been playing in the Premier League recently, so I'm assuming he'll get a run out here. He scored against Liverpool, scored against Rotherham, scored against Huddersfield. Seems to have been put on the naughty step by Pep after not a great performance at Newcastle, but we know he's a devastating player. I mean, Newport battle well. I mean, they took Tottenham to a replay, they've beaten Leicester, but I mean, Man City, it's impossible for them to put out a weak team, and even on a dodgy pitch, I think they'll win comfortably enough.
3-0, you go?
3-0.
I'll go for a little bit closer. I'll go Man City 2-0. I just think the pitch is gonna play a big part here. And Newport, you're looking at their form the last couple of years against higher teams. I know Man City are probably the best in the country, but they conceded 1 goal at home to Spurs, 1 goal at home to Leicester, no goals at home to Leeds and Middlesbrough. So it is tough for away teams to score goals on that pitch. And City, 81 goals in 21 home games this season, 37 goals in 21 away games. So they're not as potent away from home. So I'll go City 2-0.
Yeah, well, that falls nicely in line with our main selection here, which is going to be Man City and under 4.5 goals, which is a shade of odds on, I think. Again, the pitch not going to be easy to play on. Newport, not bad at home. I know it's in a different level, of course, but I've only lost 3 at home all season in the league, 3 in 16, and in 2 of those defeats they only had 10 men for large parts of the game, so decent at home. Also got to remember City have got that tough match with Schalke just a few days later, so he will probably ring the changes. Like you said though, Mark, it won't really affect them because look at the quality that they bring in anyway. Yeah, it's hardly any downside, is it really? But we're agreeing with you. We're going to go for 3-0 City, but Man City and under 4.5 goals as our main selection. And then we move on to Sunday, 1:30, Bristol City versus Wolves. Who wants to kick us off here?
Yeah, I'll go first. I mean, I think this is outside the Chelsea, Man U, the pick of the ties. Bristol City in fantastic form. I think the draw is the best bet. Maybe 1-1 in the correct score. City unbeaten in 15, have won their last 9. Lee Johnson has these incredible runs as a manager where he great highs and woeful lows. At the moment that they're running hot. So I think Bristol City will give Wolves a test. Wolves, they struggle when the onus is on them to win the game. Again, saw that on Monday night against Newcastle. The Huddersfield home game when they lost springs to mind. The Shrewsbury where they were given 2 tough tests against them. Wouldn't like to call this one in the qualifier market. If you're looking for an upset, might come here, but I'll go for the draw in 90 minutes.
Yeah, I'll go for the upset here. I think they're about 7-2 Bristol City to win the game. I'll go for 2-1 Bristol City. The run that they're on, I mean, they're going to be, absolutely full of confidence. Wolves, I watched the game against Newcastle. I thought they were lucky to get away with the draw. And they showed up quite well on the stats, but watching the game, didn't create that many chances. Newcastle looked comfortable for much of that match, and they are not playing so well in the FA Cup. Those 2 matches against Shrewsbury, as Mark's mentioned. So I'll just go for Bristol City to pull off a shock here.
Well, we're in line with you again, Mark, here. 1-1, Bristol City Wolves we've got. I think you've nicked mine more. As you alluded to, Bristol City have won their last 9, unbeaten in their last 15. This isn't going to be an easy trip for Wolves at all. Wolves obviously are doing well as well. They've only lost 1 of their last 8 in all comps, and that was to Man City. 10 men most of the game. Tough game to call. We're going to go Bristol City in the double chance markets around even money. Sunday, 4 o'clock, Doncaster versus Crystal Palace. Dan?
Yeah, I'm going to go for the favourites here. I think there's just too big a gap between these teams. The one worry I've had with Palace this season is they're creating so many chances and not taking them. Now, though, you've got Christian Benteke, who looks fully fit for the first time in a long time. Michy Batshuayi's come in as well, and and it's another major goal threat there in the side. I just think that's going to make the life a lot easier for them. Doncaster going really well in League One, but I don't see them doing the business here. Palace to win 2-0 for me.
I mean, I think Palace will win. I'm trying to get a little bit more value out of it. I'm going to go for Palace and over 2.5 goals in this one, so maybe a 3-1, something like that. I mean, Donny are good. They're unbeaten at home since October the 23rd, but obviously that's at a completely different level. People like Mark Stowe and Herbie Kane, they've got players that can, I think, get on the score sheet. But Palace are creating so many big opportunities, and maybe they'll take them eventually. And there's an opportunity for Palace to go really deep in the FA Cup. There's a lot of big teams already out, and I think they'll fancy their chances.
Yeah. Again, we're more in line with you, Mark. Here, I think our main selection is for both teams to score. As you said, obviously it's at a lesser level, but Doncaster, they're 4th in the home league table. They've scored 32 in 16 at home. This is their home game since November. They've scored 2-2, 3-2, 5-2, 3-3. That's 22 in 8. Palace on the road, as we know, they've pulled off that great win against City, unlucky against Liverpool, but scored 3 goals in each. Our correct score is going to be for 2-1, but we really like both teams to score here. Sunday, Swansea versus Brentford.
Both teams to score. Yeah, that would be my best bet, Dean. And 2-2, maybe in the correct score. It's 3-2 in the league fixture.
Right, now I am worried because you must be looking at my notes because we've got Swansea 2, Brentford 2.
I'll just say, I'll let you explain your reasoning. I just think Swansea play really fluid football. But Brentford with Benrahma, Mopé, you've got someone like Watkins, maybe Kanyos if he decides to mix it up a little bit. I think this will be a really good watch.
Yeah. Well, we was along the same lines. Both teams like to play a bit of football. Swansea scored 24 in 16 at home. Couple of recent home games, 3-3 against Birmingham, 2-2 against Wigan. Brentford, as we know, not great travellers. Have only won 1 in 15 away from home. The 3-3 against Barnet. It just looks and feels like a game with goals and entertaining as well, like you say. So we're 2-2 and we're over 2.5 goals. So very similar. What do you think, Dan?
I agree there'll be goals. I just think Brentford will get more of them. I'm going to go for Swansea 1, Brentford 2. I think Brentford have just got more attacking options. I look at Swansea and they rely a lot on Ollie McBurney for goals, who's had a few injury problems recently. He was only fit enough to come off the bench in midweek. Brentford, as Mark's mentioned, with Mopé, Kanyos, Watkins, Benrahma's a good player as well. They've got lots of goal threats. They're on a good run. I think they'll still carry on here.
Okay. Finish off Monday night. I'm going to start with this one because it's my boys, Man United. Ollie's at the wheel still, despite the defeat against PSG. No doom and gloom in this corner. They were just outclassed by a better side. We've still got a way to go, but I think we're getting there under Ollie. Chelsea, that's a team I see quite a lot of because my youngest, I'll take him to Chelsea many occasions. Things aren't right there. The way they capitulated against Bournemouth, City, you're all right losing games, it's the manner. If United get in front, that pace on the break. There are some slight injury concerns, which we're not going to know till nearer the time. Anthony Martial, Jess Lingard, both come off injured. We don't know if they're going to be all right for the game. We're just going with United on a value perspective here. 5-2 or bigger around. If they get in front, Chelsea's heads could drop again, and that's it for us United. 2-1 in this correct score.
I'm going to be slightly less optimistic about Manchester United without going overboard about Chelsea. So I'm going to go for the draw and 1-1. I mean, it was a draw when the two teams met in the Premier League. Of course, that dramatic late equaliser. A lot's changed since then. And now we're seeing some of the problems that, Manchester United had. Mistakes in defence, too slow in midfield, player revolt in the dressing room, if you believe the reports. All of a sudden that's been aimed at Sarri rather than Manchester United. But Chelsea have only lost 1 game at home all season. Those results you mentioned were away from home where they've got big problems. I think they are better at home. United have scored in every away game they've played this season, even under Mourinho when they were said to be really sort of boring.
Scored
and stuff
15 in 6 in their away game since Ollie took over.
I mean, I just wonder about a lot of those were against lower grade opponents. They won at Tottenham. David De Gea was man of the match. They won at Arsenal. I thought that was a really tie that could have gone either way on the night. And so I'm not not totally into the Ollie revolution, so I'll go draw.
Dan?
Chelsea for me. I'm going to go
we've got all
Chelsea
three.
2-0. I think the pace
2-0?
2-0. I think the pace of Lingard and Martial. There are muscle injuries that forced them off. Now look, we're sitting here. We don't know exactly how serious they are, but if they're coming off with muscle injuries in a Champions League match, I would suggest it's unlikely they're going to be available a few days later. I think their performance, not just offensively but defensively as well, with the high press that they got going, completely disappeared second half. Back to the kind of the one-paced football that we saw under Mourinho. I know it was against a high-class opponent, but I just think there was such a drop-off in the performance. Chelsea are going to look for a reaction. As Mark mentioned, they're much stronger at home than away. I think they'll get it, and I think they'll win.
All right, so that's probably of all the 8 matches, the one that we disagree on the most.
Well, I mean, one of us will be right. We've
Yeah.
got Man United to draw and Chelsea.
Before we go then, I'm going to throw you one here. I didn't prepare you for this. Outright, is it obvious, City, or have you got anything else to...
I mean, I think City are really strong favourites, probably stronger than the betting suggests. If you have a look at Chelsea, sort of second favourites, and they've just put 6 on them. Chelsea or Man United sort of next in the betting. If you wanted somebody at a nicer price, I suppose. I mean, I've tipped Watford at the start, so I'll stick with them. I think they'll beat. Beat QPR. Why not?
And then they could get a decent
Yeah,
draw
I mean,
in the
they're a
quarterfinals,
top half Premier League team.
I've not been looking at your notes, but I think City. I mean, they're odds against still, and they can only play one Big Six team, can't they?
Yeah.
That's that. They might even get away with not having to play any. And can you really see a non-Big Six team, beating them? So
What about fixtures mounting up though towards the end?
Possibly,
if they're
but
still in the Champions League.
as has
fighting.
been mentioned, their depth is so good anyway. They'd struggle to put out a
Yeah.
weak side. So no, I think City are a really good price. I agree with Watford. I mean, they're almost priced the price of Wolves when they're in a similar league position. And I think Watford have got an easier tie as well. And just some real big outsiders, Brentford and Bristol City at around 100 to 1 mark. If the draw kind of works out and City, meet a Chelsea or Man United in the draw, there could be a pathway for one of these good Championship sides. So I just think they're worth chancing one of those two at 100 to 1.
I'd say Palace and Watford out of the sort of bigger prices because they both look like sides that are going to get through to the quarterfinals, and then there's only going to be really 2 what we call big sides left, and as you said, they could draw each other, but I'm sticking with Ollie. Ollie's still at the wheel, in my opinion. Right, lads, thanks for joining us. We've enjoyed this, and we'll see who comes out on top, eh?
Thank you.